Shalom, Sister Gate here, back in the orchard, different aspect. Now the little house is behind us, sunlight is in front of us. And I went out yesterday to buy some groceries requested by my grandkids because they're going to meet up with us for the Thanksgiving holiday. And I'd already bought a turkey and it was not on sale. And I can't remember exactly how much it cost a pound. It was either $2.29 or $1.29 a pound, which is still not super expensive. If you buy steak is like $15 a pound. If you get burger is often around $3.50 a pound. So turkey at $2.29 a pound is not a bad deal. But the media, I've done a video on the media, how they mislead people, and that was back then. You can go back in my videos, search and find it. I think it's called The Media is at Fault. The media are, the very same day I'm going out to buy these things, I'm hearing on the radio, warnings that the turkey's going to be more expensive, up to $4 more than, say, 2016. And I thought, ironic. So I go to a store and I'm buying the different things I'm buying. And they have turkeys. They have plenty of turkeys. And in our area, the actual local store offers a free turkey if you make $100 purchase. Now, I'm picturing in my mind, I always buy big turkeys because we like to eat the leftovers. We like leftover turkey sandwiches. So I'm thinking, yeah, it's like a free 10 or 12 pound turkey, but that's plenty for two people. Anyway, I go into this store. They have plenty of turkeys. It's 98 cents a pound. I have bought turkeys at the lowest price I've ever bought them, and I think it was after Thanksgiving, was 39 cents a pound, which is ridiculously cheap. That's like how much potatoes cost. But for a year in which there's going to be food shortages and hunger and so on, and supposedly a shortage of even finding turkeys, it's 98 cents a pound. Come on. That's cheap. That's cheaper than the steak. That's cheaper than the hamburger. It is definitely affordable at 98 cents a pound. As a matter of fact, one should be canning turkey meat at that price. Now, I'm not saying you're going to do it because it's a busy time of year and you probably got stuff going on, but that's not the high cost of Thanksgiving. Now, here's another aspect of that issue. We grew enough potatoes that if I want to have potatoes with this meal, I could use the potatoes I grew. I have chosen to just buy potatoes because they're out there and they're cheap. But you can have any meal be cheaper by growing some part of that meal. Let's pretend you love green beans. If you grow green beans and freeze them or can them, then you are saving yourself the price of a can of green beans. And something else that came through experience and thinking about things is canned pumpkin. Anything you buy canned, somebody canned. So the pumpkin you buy in a can, somebody took from a regular pumpkin, chopped it up, and canned it. So to save yourself money, time, effort, grow a pumpkin. And I'm here to tell you, one pumpkin, even a small one, is more pumpkin pulp than you need for most pumpkin recipes. Most pumpkin recipes for bread and pie and whatever soup call for 1 cup of pumpkin. And one regular pumpkin, one pumpkin this big, is several cups of pumpkin meat, and you can freeze it. As a matter of fact, later today, I'm going to put a pumpkin in my sun oven just to bake the flesh part. And I'm going to have so much pumpkin. I've already decided I'm going to make some soup, but I'm definitely going to freeze it and more than likely make bread and cookies from it too. Pumpkin's good. And the spices that you use in pumpkin makes it taste even better. So that's a thing about the high cost of Thanksgiving. And then another issue, and I know some of you out there are probably screaming this at the camera right now, but it was a massacre. The Pilgrims massacred a bunch of Native Americans, you killer you. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. Read books. Read the book by the man who was in charge of that colony, William Bradford. that whole massacre situation was the Pequod Massacre, and it kind of is an overflow where the Pequods and the British military had already been in battles and had 3 or 4 where the British military had lost. And so their last ditch effort in order to win against the Pequods was to go into one of their villages and massacre the village. And this is not something new. This is a tactic that people have been using for years. The Vikings, the Romans, etc., etc. And to displace people too is another thing that people have been doing for thousands of years. It's just a military tactic. The Pequod War was, I believe, 20, maybe even 50 years after the Pilgrims and their colony and the beginnings of it. And it was in another state. It wasn't in Massachusetts. It was in Delaware. So when people equate that massacre with the Pilgrims, they're getting it mixed up because the Pilgrims actually had someone come tell them of the news of that massacre, but they had nothing to do with it. They were nowhere there. The aggressors were British military. There's an actual military report of the action. It was a captain and a lieutenant, and then a really large part of their forces were Native Americans who also were warring with the Pequods and wanted to do battle with them. And the whole mystique that the natives were here living peacefully in harmony with nature is not necessarily true. It is, there were 5 nations battling it out with each other, and that's what the whole Leather Stocking Tales covers. The Mohawks, the Seneca, I think it was the Cayuga, the Iroquois nations had been fighting each other viciously for a long time. They did come to peace. There's a whole thing about a pine tree and them meeting under it and deciding, all right, we've had enough of the fighting. We'll sign a peace treaty with each other and then bury it under this tree. So that's the truth of this massacre. Now, do the Native Americans have an argument that after that there were still massacres that happened? Absolutely. Totally willing to admit that on both sides. It wasn't just the white people against the natives. The natives had massacres against each other. The natives had massacres of white settlers. The white settlers massacred each other. It's just human nature, y'all. It's nothing to get in a big uproar. And these are events that happened 300 years ago. That's not what's happening now. What's happening now is things like Waukesha, where a 39-year-old man, okay, so he's a grown adult and he knows better, takes his car and his firearm and crashes through a Christmas parade and injures 18 children and kills 5 people, including grandmothers. That is what's happening now. Those are the things we should be focusing on and how we want to react to our world. All right, thanks for watching the video, y'all. Bless you. Shalom.